Hello, and welcome to Circuit Bridges. Today, Circuit Bridges will feature the saxophonist Drew Whiting performing the works of contemporary composers Alexis Bacon, Robert McClure, Judith Shatin, and Ben Zucker. My name is Robert Foisey. I'm a composer and a producer. I'm the director of Vox Novus. And Vox Novus's mission is to empower and promote and present contemporary new music, and to champion the musicians whom that love to play the music from living composers today. Circuit Bridges is a new music project looking to connect the new music community with audiences in vast distances. Endeavoring to support and empower musicians in these challenging times. Circuit Bridges features champion musicians to present the works of living composers. This performance event contains specifically selected and curated compositions from an international call of scores submitted to the performer, Drew Whiting. These online performances are presented live online, so audiences can engage directly with the musician and the composers who are making that music. Audiences get a chance to ask questions to the artist, make comments, and appreciate the works of the composers presented. Now, I have the unique pleasure of introducing a fantastic saxophonist and a premier champion of new music, Drew Whiting. Drew Whiting is a member of the music faculty at Silver Lake College and the University of Wisconsin at Oshkosh, and co-directs the experimental music ensemble Sounds Like Now. Drew's first piece that he'll be playing today is from Alexis Bacon, called Ötzi.
Hello.
Hi, Alexis.
Hi, Robert.
How are you? Great piece.
Thank you so much. Yeah, wonderful performance. So
Yeah.
Nice to hear it.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself in this piece?
Yeah, so this piece has a bit of a program to it that maybe would have been nice to know going in, but I'll tell you in retrospect, so maybe some things will make more sense. But this is inspired by a prehistoric, I don't know if it's officially a mummy, but a prehistoric body that was found in the Alps. And it was found in the 90s, and it was extremely well preserved. So the scientists were able to figure out, how old this person was. He was in his 50s, more or less, and what he had eaten, and that he had climbed the Alps that day before he had died, and a lot of his clothes were really well preserved, and they were able to figure out a whole lot of things about him. And one of the most intriguing things that they figured out also was that he had probably been murdered, that he had been shot with an arrow at long distance, and it hit an artery, and he had just died there. He had a lot of really valuable possessions with him, but they hadn't been taken. So it inspires all of these kinds of thoughts about what his life was like, and what maybe he was fleeing from somebody, and that's why he was running up the mountain. What was he fleeing from? So it's just really, really evocative to me, and I'm fascinated by archaeology in general. So this is kind of like a tone poem on Ötzi's last day. So there's a lot of, all of the recordings were concrete sounds from tools, and I was thinking sort of the saxophone is kind of a tool, and it's like this sort of prehistoric tools, metal and wood, and different kind of sounds you can get from them. So that's what all of the sounds at the beginning and the end of the piece were. And then the slower, more open middle section was Ötzi walking in the snow, not knowing that people were chasing him up the mountain, or maybe he knew, but just sort of slowly plodding up the mountain. So yeah, so very loosely programmatic, but definitely inspired by Ötzi.
Yeah, I actually do know that story. It's anyway, there are a lot of wild theories about what had happened.
Right.
I think your music captures that pretty well.
Oh, thanks.
And tell us a little bit about yourself. I'm sorry,
Yeah, well, I teach composition at Michigan State University. I've been here about 5 years. What else do you want to know? My instruments are viola and piano, and so I write sort of half electronic music, usually concrete type music with instruments. Although I am getting more into different types of electronic music also, and also write a lot of acoustic music too.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Alexis.
Thank you.
And let's hear the next piece that we have from Drew. It's by Judith Shatin, and the name of this piece is called Storm. Wonderful piece. So that's Storm. What a great piece. Uh, Let me bring in Judith Shatin.
Hi.
Hi, Judith.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. One of the great things about doing a project like this is I get to meet so many new people, but I also get to work with colleagues I've enjoyed working with for many, many years.
Yeah, it's great to be with you again, and I want to start by thanking Drew for that spectacular performance. Not an easy piece to perform, and he really did a beautiful job.
He's just amazing, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
So, Judith, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and about this piece?
Sure. So I was an early adopter of computer and electronic music for reasons that have never been clear to me, but I really enjoy working with all kinds of different media, as well as continuing to work with acoustic instruments as well. And one of my recent fun explorations has been in a series called Quotidian Music, the most recent of which is a piece for 2 zipper players and interactive electronics. And I mention that just because I think that for composers working today, the world of exploration is so large and that's so exciting. In the case of this particular piece, it was commissioned in honor of the birthday of Amnon Wallman, a dear friend and an Israeli composer. And as a composer, I find myself very strongly affected by what's going on in the world. And at that time, there were major uprisings happening in the Mideast. But of course, as we look around ourselves today, there are never periods of political and cultural calm. And in addition to that, I was also thinking about the meteorological meaning of the word storm. So the arc of the piece definitely reflects that, and the kinds of sounds that I was working with, I would say, are more inspired by Goya than by anything particularly lighthearted. So the idea was to create a strong integrated interaction between the electronics and the saxophone. And when working with electronics and acoustic instruments, I'm always searching for ways in which the two can speak to one another and can amplify and intertwine with one another. So that means a lot of exploration, first of the world that the electronics I'm using afford, and then ditto for the acoustic instrument, and then finding ways for them to interact with one another.
Yeah, I think you did a great job. Totally. And Amnon Wallman. It's so funny. I haven't heard that name in a while too. Another great composer. Well, Judith, great piece. I want to bring up the next piece of Drew's that you'll be playing today. This piece is by Ben Zucker. It's called Complicity with the Continuous Materials. Ben, great piece.
Oh my goodness, it's good.
I know,
Well,
Drew is just amazing, right?
he really is, and I can't, thank you, Drew, thank you, Robert, and Circuit Bridges for making this possible.
Oh, well, it's, all due to you guys. Ben, why don't you tell us a little bit about that piece?
Yeah, sure. So, I guess the main thing with Complicity was sort of having the original idea of trying to think through how to move from from a single point and sort of continue and like continuity, like yeah, discrete and moving from discrete points to continuous sound or anything. And that sort of really started with the electronics, where a bunch of like impulses, when they add up together, they go fast enough. You get a tone. You get tones together. They get chords, and you put enough like tones and chords together, you get like almost white noise over saturation. And then so I had to put a saxophone in over with that. It was like, well, I'm gonna try and do that in reverse and say how the short points of like slap tongues, key clicks, and the saxophone can sort of elide into longer air and tone. Same with like multiphonics too, as a sort of middle point for that. So there's the same process playing out like in both backwards and forwards at the same time, and I hope that's can be sort of like heard in the piece, but also that people just sort of like get like the impact of all the I don't know, all the noise going on.
Yeah, sure. I think it's very effective. Uh, and so tell us a little bit about what you do and how you do it.
Well, always still figuring that out now, and especially these days. But I'm currently based in Chicago. I'm a doctoral candidate in composition at Northwestern University, and alongside work I do, teaching and studying. I do a lot. I also was fairly active. I'm still in some ways as as an improviser, sort of where I come from on brass, voice, percussion, and electronics, and
You improvise on all of that?
sometimes all at the same time even.
Wow. Okay.
And so in making a piece like this, it's always fun to try, continuously trying to find new ways for those to come together, sort of in the ways that Drew has a little bit of liberty, especially with the more sort of added noisier sections towards the end.
Sure.
So yeah, that's some of what I've been up to, and it's these days it's been still some composing, a lot of sort of working on my own and producing stuff myself, some work for film and theater during the pandemic,
Okay.
and looking forward to just being able to really engage in all kinds of ways with music and other players as soon as possible.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I know. This is part of reason for circuit bridges. If we can't do it in person, let's do it a little virtually, right?
Yeah, it's
And I think before we play the finale of from Drew, why don't we bring in Robert McClure and talk about his piece first? Hi, Robert.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. How's it going with you?
I'm doing okay.
You excited about your piece?
I am. I'm excited to hear it from Drew again. This will be the second time that he's performed it. And I mean, he just knocked it out of the park the first time. So, pressure's on Drew.
So far, he's been doing pretty good, I
He's
think.
been amazing. All three of those pieces have been just awesome. And what can you say that hasn't already been said about Drew? I mean, he's just incredible,
He is.
so.
So tell us a little bit about this piece. You wrote it for him, or he just
No,
took it on?
he's taken it on a couple times. So this piece was actually originally written for oboe and fixed media. I wrote it for a colleague of mine while I was in China, while I was teaching in China at Suzhou University. That colleague was Juan Manuel Garcia Cano, who's an oboe player, and since then, the oboe and the soprano sax have such a close range. It only made sense to transfer the piece to the soprano sax and have both versions. The piece called "Struggling in Excess" is, as I said, I was living and working in China at the time, and I began to notice all of the, and this is not just a China problem, this is a worldwide problem, but all of the excessive plastic packaging that accompanied nearly everything you bought. And I started to collect that packaging before I, in China made the, it's not so easy to recycle things over there. So, but tried as much as I could. But I recorded a lot of that plastic. And so that makes up a lot of the sounds you'll hear in the electronic part. The other part was kind of inspired by the oboe itself, and the saxophone, later. There are quite a few multiphonics in this piece, and I was playing with my daughter one morning before I went into work, and we had a balloon, and I blew it up, and instead of tying it off, I just kind of pinched the ends and kind of let the sound go, and oh, that's a multiphonic.
Right.
So I recorded a lot of balloons and kind of balloon screaming multiphonics, and kind of paired those with with what was going on in the oboe and then saxophone part, and there you go. There's the piece.
Wow. Where's my 3-year-old son when I need him?
Right? They inspire so much.
Fabulous. And tell us a little bit about yourself, Robert. What do you do?
Sure. Well, after I taught in China for 4 years at Suzhou University and Shanghai Conservatory, I came here where I am right now, which is Athens, Ohio. I teach at Ohio University. I'm an assistant professor of composition and theory there, where I teach composition, electronic music, and theory. So that's pretty much what I've got going on.
Great. Well, let's hear this piece by Robert McClure. Struggling in Excess, and let's take it on, Drew. Awesome. Great. Yes, I heard the balloon.
It's there, right?
Well, hello everybody. I just first let me just say I loved all your pieces a great deal. It's been a pleasure to do this, and I want to thank you for being part of this Circuit Bridges performance. What I'd like to do, let's see, I don't know. What I want to do is talk to our audience, and if you have a question about one of the pieces or to one of the composers and so forth, it would be great to just write it in the chat, and we would love to answer your question or query. Meanwhile, so let me talk about current events. What does everybody think about this sort of format to have a performance and just reaching out virtually to musicians and audiences alike? Robert, you like it?
Yeah, I mean, but basically, what else is there to be doing right now? I mean, we're in the situation we're in, and music goes on. So if we can have stuff like this, where we're able to reach out even at a distance, because if this had just happened, I would hazard a guess that none of us would have been there, and now we're all able to interact with each other and be a part of this thing. So yeah, I think this is awesome.
Anybody
Any
else?
concert, there's a very limited audience that can attend, and this really allows people in different places and creates a kind of availability. Of course, we all want live performance where we're all physically together, but this enables people and invites people who otherwise could never have participated. I think that's wonderful. And getting to meet you all is wonderful. So I think there are real silver linings here, much as we all, again, want to have the live experience as well.
Well, and I do think it's like, hey, Drew!
Hey,
Yay!
Wonderful performance, man.
oh, thanks. This was a lot of fun, and especially not having a performance since March. Shaking off a few cobwebs there. So it's been a while. So this was an amazing opportunity. Thank you all so much for your wonderful work, and I really love performing all your pieces.
Well, and can I start out with a question with that? So, Drew, have you been like performing on Zoom or doing like in-house performances and stuff like that?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, since everything happened in March, a lot of planning and a lot of kind of like tinkering around with future projects and things like that. But I haven't had a performance since March. So I mean, teaching obviously and doing things via Zoom. But this is really the first time I've gone to perform.
And this was the result of a call for works that we put out. But for the composers, did anybody write specifically for Drew? I know Robert talked about basically he did, convert
Kind
to
of.
saxophone.
My piece was part of a consortium commission, and Drew was one of the commissioners. So he was one of the first people to perform it.
Yeah, this is technically the premiere of my work. It was being worked on with a colleague of mine, but the premiere plans got ruined like many things this year, and so we were able to shift it around, and now Drew has the honor, or the burden, whatever.
And so that's the let me just keep with the Circuit Bridges format. And so what do you guys like about it being, because we could just make recordings and play it that way over online and just have it available for everybody. Do you think it's important to do like a live performance?
I like the sense of danger.
Very true.
Even more than a regular electronic music concert where we already have that. I mean, that's always part of an electronic music concert with all the tech, so that just brings it up to the next level, which is kind of fun.
So many layers of tech, right? That can all fail simultaneously.
Yes.
I have mixed feelings about it because in a way, one thing that might work is having the opportunity to do what we're doing now, to have the interaction, but maybe to have it recorded so that you don't have that issue of the technical glitch options hanging over you. I don't know, Drew, how do you feel about that?
They're kind of different experiences. When I've watched concerts online since this all happened, the one thing I really enjoy is when I'm watching a concert, being able to like make comments in real time. It's actually really fun to kind of interact and still listen in that way. And I guess you would get that with a recording, but especially when it's happening live, there is this sense of we don't exactly know what's going to happen next. It's another level of excitement. So I think they're obviously there are pros to doing something recorded where you're eliminating some of that, but it's kind of fun to be risky too.
Well, I don't know. I think there's the balance, right? I mean, as a producer, there's got to be a show. So, risk is okay to a point.
I guess I want to say a big reason why I think this was successful were my awesome colleagues, AJ Ram and Nathan Edwards, who were working tech for this. That way I just had to worry about playing the saxophone, and they worried about everything. And then, of course, all you virtual concert halls, that really made this possible. I think doing it on your own would be really, really stressful.
Yeah, and like, let's make the general shout out right now. I mean, first of all, the concert hall, Nate and AJ, uh, the University of Wisconsin has been awesome. The I don't think people really understand all the sort of um, back end that goes on to this. Virtual concert halls. We have Fedor Uspensky, who's helping tech everybody and so forth, and making sure that all the streams, are coinciding at the right levels and so forth and everything. And then, there's also the administrative part. We've got, Keha and Mike McFerrin and Tony Reimer have been also, helping me in the back scenes, like doing all this. So yeah, it's we talk about like risk and like nervousness of things going forward. Live is live. It's there's always that sort of danger. Anything could happen. But the idea is to have the great team like sort of behind you to make a good performance. And I hope Nate and AJ are listening. But I've already gotten a whole bunch of comments about how great it sounded.
Right.
Drew, it was wonderful.
Thanks. No, they're fantastic. I couldn't be more fortunate to have such awesome people around me. So.
Just like scrolling through, seeing lots of congratulatory comments, not a lot of questions. Drew, do you have a question for us?
Oh gosh. I guess through all this, we've all been dealing with a new reality since March, and so I'm curious for all of you. I know that my practice and output has definitely changed over this time. So I'm curious for all of you, how have you dealt with that over these last months?
How about you, Alexis? Why don't you start?
Me start. I definitely feel that it's been harder to be creative, and I just feel like there's this sort of extra layer of cognitive decline that I can have to work through. So like all the things I try to do regularly, I still try to do it first thing in the morning. I still try to be consistent with it, but it's harder to do that extra step. But I'm trying to still make it a regular occurrence. It's getting a little bit easier, maybe see the light at the end of the tunnel a little bit, but it has been challenging for sure.
Judith?
I actually have not had that particular problem. I feel really grateful to have a home. I feel really in despair watching the amount of suffering and the horrifyingly bad national response or lack thereof to the pandemic. But as far as creative aspects go, I don't know how many of you guys saw this cartoon that was posted of a composer sitting in his room before the pandemic, and then the composer sitting in his room after the pandemic. Of course, I miss being able to do all of the normal things, but I've felt incredibly grateful to have music in my life and to be able to sort of zone in and to do that for a certain period every day. So that's been, to me, really a kind of saving grace, at least for me. I like making noise, and I'm still able to do that, and I'm grateful for that.
How about you, Robert?
I think the biggest hurdle for me was, Judith, you said you like making noise. So do my children, and they're here all the time. So, so I think that's been the biggest hurdle for me. But myself and my family, we've had incredible support from our extended family, trying to help an online first grader who's completely online, and an online preschooler, and we've had some excellent support from our family so that my wife and I can still work. And I think compositionally, I've just been trying to focus on smaller pieces, things that are that maybe I would have put off because like, oh, well, I've got to write this for them and I've got to write this for them. Well, they are not really doing that much right now. So I'm kind of focusing on the things that, I can control as a composer. So that's kind of how I've made it through, I guess.
And you, Ben?
Well, I mean, yeah, clearly, it seems that like all of us have been in very wonderful, fortunate, and privileged positions to be able to keep working and be safe during all of this, but with more of the time, in some ways, it's remind me to sort of like when mostly just left with myself to like really get back to the process, and honor and love the process of making all of this stuff, as much as like whatever might come from it. And one of the stuff that I have made over the pandemic, this has really helped me focus in on what was the most important thing, what absolutely needed needed that presence, or how could technology be something that brought out something new in what was going on. In such ways that sort of like not, we'll try to like never take for granted like having a real human being as a collaborator in front of me ever again.
Right. Yeah, and for my part of it, I have to admit that I was kind of in hiatus. I have a son, and I've been kind of focusing on being a stay-at-home dad and so forth. But I saw the pandemic as sort of a call to arms. I just realized that a lot of my colleagues would be starting to suffer, especially musicians, just with live performances and things like that. And I just felt like I needed to contribute in, a way that I knew how to do best. It's definitely been different from when I did before. I'll say that. Also, with a child at home and stuff like that, it makes it a unique experience. So I have this question from Mike McFerrin towards the composers, and he was just talking about the sort of differences between live and through headphones and on the computer and listening through speakers. And did you think that there was anything new, that you heard in this performance that Drew just did?
I mean, I can start. I heard how awesome Drew is, like basically, yeah. I don't know that there was anything different in this particular medium. It was mixed really fantastically. So that's that's kudos to the tech team at Oshkosh, definitely. But yeah, I for me, I just got to really focus on Drew and listening to him. So that was great.
Yeah, I guess there's something to be said for hearing the piece you wrote on the exact setup you wrote it on. It's like, okay, this is how I remember it sounding. It's a little different than going into the hall, and it's like, wait, I thought I'd hear that more, or that's very far away, and that sort of thing. So that's kind of fun.
And did anybody miss anything that, for me, I love the ambiance of a hall. It's just, I like the energy even of the audience, no matter if it's large or small or whatever. It's can feel the energy that's going back and forth between the musician. But besides that, did anybody hear something, missed something that they wished that they heard?
Oh, Judith, I think you're muted.
I am. Sorry. I think we forget that most people listen to music as recordings, and that we are incredibly fortunate to be able to have live performance. And it's relatively rare in relation to what people listen to. I think that one of the points that Drew made that I really loved about this is there is a risk. There is a potential failure in doing it live, whether it's about musical things or about technical ones. And so the fact that you were able to do it that way did give us at least some aura of that kind of connection. And I think that piece of it is really wonderful. Of course, the broader sociality of being in a live concert hall and having a collective experience is gone. But this creates a different kind of one. So I'm happy we can focus on what this brings to everyone rather than what we're missing, and can't wait to get back to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
Here, here.
agree. Oh, I will say that, I mean, my piece was originally conceived for quad sound, but you know what? Like in this case, it does bring out an entirely different relationship of the sounds of electronics to saxophone, and you know, it's since everything is getting compressed into our headphones. You know, I think we've all been trying to find ways to adapt both how we make our sound and how we listen to our sounds. And you know, I think often sometimes like the word like intimacy is often overused in some when it comes to like the sort of listening, but it is a very like special experience getting to hear, you know, Drew up very up close along with everything else. You know, it's special. It's heightened in a way that it wouldn't be otherwise.
Well, again, I want to thank you all for being part of this Circuit Bridges performance event. It's been a pleasure to have you all here and see you. Thank you, Drew. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking on these pieces and putting in all the work. It's it's an awesome undertaking, and for bringing your team to us. That was also a great pleasure.
Well, thank you all. It was a real pleasure, and yeah, I was looking forward to this so much, and I already have the post-concert adrenaline that you always get, and I wish we could all be together, share a beverage, or hang out after the concert. But it's wonderful to see all of you and to perform your work.
And I should just do a little plug here too. How great is Drew? Drew is so great, he wants to do two. We'll be doing another one of these concerts early next year, most likely in January. So everybody, keep in touch and keep your ears to the ground, and we'll get another 4 composers for those works. How's that sound?
Great.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Great, everybody. Thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you on the next concert.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you, Drew.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Robert.
All right.
Thank you, Robert and Drew. That was awesome.
Oh, thank you.